Hello. It's Monday morning, December 9. Ooh, these days keep rushing by. In 5 weeks, we'll have a new president. Gosh, that means we would have gone past Christmas. We've gone past New Year's. January 6th, the vice president hand walks the Electoral College certified votes into Congress to be put in the official record, making Donald J. Trump eligible for being sworn into office by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. That's pretty serious business. In front of probably 1 million people standing in the watching the episode. My daughter tells me tickets to the inaugural balls, $3,700 a ticket, and that's to be in the back of the room. I tell you, on one of the elections, we flew into Washington, met up with our daughter Robin, and instead of trying to get in the grandstand to watch the parade, he goes, Trump told the Secret Service, I gotta get out of this limousine and walk a little bit, come on, and wave, gotta do it. So they allowed him to do it. You're trying to protect somebody, from wackos and all these people that are along the street sides have not gone through magnetometers. And any one of them could have a weapon. So it's very scary. The only thing the Secret Service can do is protect them after the first shot's fired. What good that it does. If the guy's a good shot. So, keep him in a limo. You gotta be really... there's a new way of thinking about that now. There has to be. Because... although Trump looked pretty nice with his son, they're waving, and Melania is dressed in that blue, I think it was a blue outfit, and she looked, just stunning. And Trump looked confident. Well, now he goes back into, he got reelected. The Democrats didn't do their job under the Biden. He was managed by all the Obama people, behind the scenes. They're programming you. You can't say this and you can't say that. You can only say this and you can only say that. Kamala was so managed, she couldn't say anything. The only thing she could say is, I grew up in the middle-aged... it was absurd. She would throw out that line, what are you going to do about the economy? I grew up in a middle-aged... come on. What's the weather like? I grew up in a middle-aged... it's nuts. So... It's 10:08. So where you guys been since 9 o'clock? You couldn't find me, huh? Well, you just need to focus a little bit. Yeah, I'm here. Live and in color. The lighting is... let me turn up the lighting. Yeah. At least you can see sight half of me, right? Yeah, I'm sipping my tea. I have a K-cup machine. And somewhere or other, one of these kitchen shops, I bought this little gray thing. It has a lid on it. It fits, when you have the K-cup, you pull out that plastic thing that you can clean out. That pokes a hole in the top and in the bottom of those canisters. So you pull out that brown thing and you put in this gray thing. And inside the gray thing is a basket. And it has a very fine mesh, really super fine mesh. So you can, in theory, add your own coffee. I think that's what it was for, in case you wanted to add your own ground coffee. You fill up that basket, you close the lid on it, and then you close down the top of the K-cup machine and push the button, and you get 12 ounces of the ground coffee that you like. We use Bustelo. Yeah, it's really quite nice. It's an espresso-like coffee, so it's, I add cream and sugar to it, less sugar, because, my A1C, I'm going to trying to keep it below 10, huh? It's running around 7, right on the, I'm taking Ozempic, which that's a miracle drug right there. That's semaglutide, 2 milligrams of semaglutide once a week. You do a little jab in your belly or in the fat part of your thigh, and put in 3/4 of a milliliter. Yeah, and you get 2 milligrams of semaglutide. It is magical with the way it stabilizes your blood sugar. Yeah, I mean, it's really with your blood sugar. Kind of slows down your whole alimentary canal. Let's take a look at my blood sugar. Just happen to have, there's this device called Freestyle Libre. And this is Libre Link Up. It's an app which you can load in your iPads or your iPhone. Freestyle Libre. It's a little, there's an applicator. You put it on the underside of your arm. I have it right about 5 inches above my belly button, about that. So my belt isn't going to get in the way of it. And you just stick it right on there, and you can read your blood sugar. It takes your blood sugar reading every 5 minutes. And this little doodad, the size of a penny, has some surgical adhesive, so the applicator is like spring-loaded. So you touch it against your belly, you press it, and this thing goes, and it just pushes this thing right onto your stomach or your under part of your arm or your fatty part of your thigh. I figure 5 inches above the belly button that's a good place for it. It's out of the way. There's not much fat on the underside of my arm, and it wants to be in around fatty tissue, So, some people have real fatty arms. I don't have fatty arms. Yeah. I weigh 170 pounds. Just doing that. And, I don't know. Hope you're enjoying the sound from Epidemic Sound Instrumental. I'm catching it through YouTube Music. Yep. I have a professional subscription to YouTube, so I can see YouTube anything. Plus, I can broadcast this this broadcast simultaneously. Oops. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's 10:15.
There you go. That's where it's supposed to be. Yeah. Oops. I just banged the microphone. Everyone's speaker system just went boom. Yeah. Oh gosh. So looking in the news, anyway, so my blood sugars, you see the arrow is pointing horizontally. So that means it's not going up and it's not going down. 162 milligrams per deciliter. That's the quantity of free sugars floating around in my blood system. Yeah. It's in the green zone. You don't want it below, 75. Yeah. If it gets too low, it can be deadly. And if it gets too high, you can go blind. How about that for an alternative? Yeah, so you want to, this device that you stick on your arm or on your belly, you can see it all the time. You can take a look at it. I actually can see it on my watch. It shows 161 on my arm, on my watch. It's little. You can touch it and it will bring this graph up right on the watch. Don't even Freestyle Libre 3, Freestyle Libre, the number 3, is the system. Insurance pays for so every 90 days I pay about $70. Now I don't wear it, so it's good for 14 days, and then I don't put it on at all for like a week, and then I put it on again for another 14 days, and then I let my body rest a week, and because the reason why I do that, number one, it saves a little money, because you're 2 weeks on and 1 week off, and 2 weeks on and 1 week off. So you get a 33% discount by doing it. No, after a while, you really know what's going to happen with your blood sugar based on what you eat. And what you eat is relatively consistent, week to week, not necessarily day to day, but week to week. You know, you eat this and you eat that, and you don't like this, you don't like that. So you know what you actually ingest week in, week out is relatively consistent. You know, and I know that if I go down to lemongrass and have a big bowl of stir-fried rice, my blood sugar is going to shoot up to 275 and get out of the green, because you can see the green is like 75 to 175. That's the range where you want to keep your blood sugar. And if you keep your blood sugar in that range, your A1C is going to be about 5.8. Yeah, that's me anyway. My blood sugar is going to be 5.8 A1C. And if I'm going to go down to lemongrass, I'm going to give myself, you know, a shot of insulin before I go down there. You know, so that way, by the time I sit down and get served, and you know, it's walking distance from where we live. So if I give myself a little shot of insulin, you know, like 7 units, 5 units, yeah, it'll work against that increasing of the you know, your blood sugar level. So, you know, and you don't eat, you know, a gallon of ice cream, and you don't, you know, instead of 2 teaspoons of sugar in your tea, just put 1 teaspoon of sugar in your tea. I've learned to do that. I haven't, you know, I really don't like the tea without, you know, a teaspoon of sugar and about 50 milliliters of an ounce of half and half. Yeah, I'm the one of them. But I was a bit of an Englishman, I guess. My mother was part English, and she always had put a little cream in her tea. I put half and half in there instead of cream. Cream is 8% milk fat, and half and half is 4%. Regular milk is 3%, and skim milk is 2%. That is the the amount of sugar, the amount of milk fat is in the various types of milk, you know. So we always drank what is commonly known as whole milk. Now they call it whole cow milk. I guess we can get milk from different animals. I would prefer to stay with cow milk, and half and half, which is 4% milk fat, cow milk. It gets so complicated. Yeah, it costs about $3.79 for a quart of that. It lasts about a week. You know, I put a full ounce of that in my tea every day. Sometimes I have 2 batches of tea, and by the time I add the half and half in there, it looks pretty, you know, beige instead of, it's not brown tea, it's like beige. Yeah, light beige actually. Come to think of it. Anyway, so I'm looking at a delayed broadcast of one of these newsy shows, and they're excavating lakes, and you know, and happened. How about How about finding the guy? You know, they got pictures all over the place. He took a bus to and from Atlanta, Georgia, supposedly. So, I mean, you have enough pictures, I would think. You know, may not be just enough data. This guy must be, he's either really, really clever or he's really, really stupid. Haven't exactly figured out whether he's stupid or very clever. You know, he left his backpack. You know, who the hell leaves your backpack, your phone, and, you know, you drink a bottle of water and you throw that away, your DNA, I mean, it's like crazy. So, you know, if he's never had his DNA done, then, you know, you're going to get a DNA profile, but you're not. It's not going to come up in a database unless he's in the database. You know, a lot of places don't do DNA. You know, that's like big city blood test. You know, a lot of places are you A, B, or O? Or O positive, O negative, you know, A positive, A negative. You got these 14 different flavors of blood. Yeah. But then you got the DNA, and if you got the DNA, you know, then you can say, you know, this guy touched that gun. But we still don't know who this guy is. I'm thinking maybe they have enough information to put it through some super duper, what do you call it? Facial recognition software, you know, and then compare it with all the driving records in Georgia, you know, the driver's license records. You know, there's a likelihood this guy drives a car, maybe, although he didn't drive the car to Manhattan or New York. He took a bus. So maybe he doesn't have a driver's license. I don't know. Which would make it that much more difficult. Or a passport. If you have a passport, you got the photo. You're not allowed to smile. You're not allowed to show teeth. Teeth, for some reason or other, throws off the facial recognition software big time. That's why when you take a passport photo, you're not allowed to smile and show your teeth. You can smile, but your mouth has to stay shut. Your eyes have to be open. Yeah, things like that. So, oh boy, I'll tell you, these black people, they just can't get over themselves. This lady weighs 300 pounds and she's screaming her brains out outside the courthouse, saying that it is racial injustice. Here this guy is drugged out of his brains. He's threatening these young women with babies in baby carriages that are on a subway car. The train is going 40 miles an hour underground in the dark. The lights flicker on and off. You know what it is if you've ever ridden in a subway in Manhattan. You know, the subways in Europe are really nice. The subway in Manhattan is, you know, old and it needs, you know, updating. But this guy was completely drugged out and he was about to slap, you know, some of these ladies silly. You know, give me money or I'm going to slap shit out of you. Pardon the expression. So Daniel Penny, he's looking at this and he says, God damn it, I can't let this guy, you know, He says, I'm going to murder you, and I don't care if I go to jail. Maybe I'll get 3 squares and I can, sleep at night. So he got up and wrestled with this guy and put him in a semi chokehold to, simmer him down. And he wrestled him right down to the ground, and the victim, who eventually died. He probably died of the overdose of the drugs he was taking. He was taking synthetic cocaine, whatever the hell that is. Something you buy on the streets when you live on the streets. Yep. So Daniel Penny has been on trial for the last month. And now the judge has basically invited the jury. Forget about the big charge. Let's can you see if you can convict this guy of the lesser charge? I mean, what the hell a way to run a courtroom is that? Now I don't know anything about the law, but that seems wholly unfair because he was being tried for manslaughter, and then all of a sudden the jury was hung. They couldn't, they couldn't agree. We don't know what the percentages were of, wanting to convict as opposed to wanting to acquit. It's one or the other, right? So all you need is one holdout, and it's a hung jury, and then you got to retry the case. So they're putting this guy through torture. I don't know who the hell's paying his legal bill, but he's like financially ruined unless you got a lot of nice contributors that are help paying his legal bills, or maybe somebody who volunteered their lawyers to protect him in the court. So I hope like hell they do not convict him of the lesser charge, because they're going to put this guy in jail for 4 years because he saved some little old lady's life in a subway train. Guess what? Good Samaritanism will be dead in Manhattan. Everybody's going to just sit around and watch the criminals beat up on these people that need to take, these people need to take the subway train. They have to get from A to B, and driving a car in Manhattan is a super luxury. And now the governor has just approved, I think, a $9 fee to even enter Manhattan with a car. So now it's like a $9 toll, and they collect $9 every time you go in or out of Manhattan. That's ooh, that's $4,000 a year. Well, you're not going to go to Manhattan every day. Let's say it's 200 every weekday, 270. That's that's $3,000 worth of tolls. If you're going to drive your own car. I know a business associate of mine years ago. He was in a rent control building, which was something magic about rent control. He had this spectacular, apartment that overlooked Central Park. And you look up a little bit to the left and you see that odd-shaped Citibank building with the slanty top on it. and you look over to the right, and all the way in front of you, you turn your head left or right, and it's a spectacular view of Central Park. Unobstructed view of Central Park. The whole park. The building is not on the park. It's like one street. I forget what, he's on the Ronco, his name is Ronco Centric. He was on the long face of the park. The park is rectangular, real long, skinny rectangular. So I'm just going to say he was on the east side of the park. And not quite the middle. It's a little bit closer to the Citibank building to middle. I remember you look over this way, you see Citibank building, and you look over this way and you got a complete unobstructed, nothing is blocking you for Central Park. I mean, big apartment, a couple thousand square feet, and he's paying dirt cheap rent control. They're not allowed to increase the rents past a certain level. His parking place, I remember him telling me, this is 25 years ago. His parking place cost $2,500 a month for the parking place. Apparently, that's not rent control. There's some other arrangement for the parking garage that's in the bottom levels of this building. He had a Mercedes, 450 SEC, which is pretty much the most expensive Mercedes made. The two-door coupe, 4-seat. Yeah. So you push the seat forward and you climb in the back. But it's a two-door, a beautiful, beautiful car. Silver, I believe. He would drive. Home is 432 Frogtown Road, New Canaan, Connecticut. He lived in a $14 million Frank Lloyd Wright designed and built house. Right smack in the middle of New Canaan, Connecticut. Yeah, that's God's country. Oh boy, nice house. All wood everywhere. All kinds of Frank Lloyd Wright engineering features. Warm water created by the sun gets circulated around through the place. And there was another method of cooling the place. It was tilted, slanted a certain way with the sunlight so that, the house would either warm itself or cool itself depending on whether you're summer or winter. It was really quite amazing. You can have one of those if you want. It cost you about $20 million today. Yeah. In New Canaan, Connecticut. 432 Frogtown Road. Look it up. You can Google it. We stayed in that house. We visited Ronco. Flew up to Manhattan. Visited his office. We were building a shopping center or two with him. He was a financial partner, and he was Mr. Money, and we were Mr. Work. Yeah, so we did the work to build it and to lease it. We did public shopping centers. Yeah. All over, South Florida, essentially. Yep. up to Tampa, across over. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's where I made some money in that business. Unfortunately, my partner was, a little, not Ronco. Another partner was a little corrupt. He would just walk off with a couple $100,000 if he needed it for another project. In the legal world, that's called embezzlement, I believe, yeah, or fraud, or both. They keep adding these counts up. Yeah, I mean, I went after him big time, verbally, with his accountant. I told his accountant, who was a CPA, I said, "You did what? I just got $1.2 million draw on West Hillsborough property, and you guys decided to walk off with $250,000, which I needed for the sewer tap fee. I have to list all these items on what the draw is for. I've got to pay those bills. There's a list of about 25 items, added up to a couple $1 million." And the sewer tap fee was $225,000. You guys walked off with $300,000 to go pay some other bills. Your CPA, well, that's going to be cleaning, pressing, and alterations, because I'll have your license. Undo wherever you put that money, put it back, because I am funding the sewer tap fee today. And you're not allowed to take any money out of this account and just pay any other random bills you feel like. So reverse that transaction, or I'm calling your association that has to do with your CPA license, and the U.S. Attorney will be contacting you for grand theft. I signed my name to that. Now, you guys want to diddle-daddle with your other partnerships that I'm not associated with, have at it. But you're not taking any money out of this partnership to feed some other bills, and some random. I went all over them. And this guy, the accountant, his name was Ira. I said, "Ira, make that change. Prove it to me that the money's back in place, because I'm funding that sewer tap fee, and if that money's not back there where it belongs, I'll have your license, and you won't be CPA. You're going to be cleaning, pressing, and alterations." Oh, he started sweating it out. I'm not an ethnic person, but he's a little Jewish man, Pardon me. You have all these little Jewish guys who are accountants or dentists or whatever, professional, smart people. And but some of them aren't as ethical as they're supposed to be. Well, this is fraud, fraud, conspiracy, embezzlement. There's a whole bunch of different adjectives a U.S. attorney can throw on that. 9 counts of fraud. Go to jail for 8 years or so. As a reminder, you don't do that. Yeah. Oh, jeez. I was sweating bullets. So my kids came down and visited me from, I guess, Virginia. So Marilyn and I were blessed with Robin and Lee for a week or so, 10 days. Or maybe the summer, I forget. Could have been the whole summer. So this event happened during the summer. So anyway, I settled up all the accounts, paid all the bills from that draw. And that was the final draw for that shopping center, by the way. It was Westgate Plaza. It's a beautiful shopping center right there. Gun Highway and Lynn Turner Road. Westgate Plaza, it's called. 55,000 square foot. It was the first huge Publix that they built. It was store number 3. It is store number 300. And yeah. So the sewer tap fee, that's when you're ready to go live with the shopping center. Because there's a big pipe, and you pay that fee, and then a public works guy shows up to your shopping center and opens up one of these drain plates, accessing, this pipe, and they pull the plug. Literally, it's a big ass plug, about 14 inches in diameter. They pull the plug. They seal the. They seal up the drainage sewer line, and then you're connected to the city sewer. So that way, when you flush your toilets, the water has a place to go. If that plug is in place, then the water, when you flush the toilet, the water flow has no place to go unless that plug is removed. That's that's what the city does to you. No ticky, no laundry. So that's usually the last thing to be done. Is they pull the sewer plug and you're live in color. It was like 105,000 square foot center, and Publix had 55,000 of that 105,000, and that means you had another 50,000 feet of small shops. Publix paid $5.95 a square foot. Divided by 12 for the monthly. And the other local tenants, paid like $11 a square foot rent. I mean, today those rents are probably $30 a square foot. They were 11 back when we built that shopping center. Publix was paying $5.95. I don't know what their rents are today. They're bigger numbers, for sure. Probably more than double. And maybe paying $12 a square foot, for all I know. Anyway. So Lee and Robin were visiting us one summer, right about the time we finished this shopping center. And I got a message here. My prescriptions are ready at Publix. Yeah, amazing. All right. So I said, Lee, Robin, Marilyn, we're going to my office with some boxes and a hand truck, a couple of bottles of liquid gold, and a couple of rolls of paper towels. And we're cleaning me out of that office. I mean, we're going to make this office look like there's never anyone ever been in here. And it's going to be clean. It's going to glisten. And I'm going to be out of there. And this was a Sunday. I said, this is my last day. I've decided I'm done. I'm not going to do any more shopping centers with this guy. He's dangerous. And, I'm not going to jail with him. That's basically the way I put it. He never got caught with all his moving monies around between different partnerships with different ownerships. That's the problem, You got different partners and different, shopping centers, and you can't take money from one to the other without everyone approving it. Yeah, he just walks off with 300 or 400,000. I need these other bills paid. Oh, really? Unbelievable. So that was the end of me and an enterprise called South Coast. Yeah, I was done with that. I don't think it's in operation now. I don't even know if that partner's alive, actually. Ugh. He'd be 90 today. I think he was like 10 years older than I am. I mean, he could be 90. He's a big guy. Played football for, Bear Bryant. God, every Monday morning, he would spend half the day talking about football. He would talk to and he talked to all the boards of directors of all these teams and, the financial resource people and, critiquing what happened, in the college, what happened with college ball on Saturday. Yeah, oh my God. Monday morning. You couldn't get a hold of this guy until lunchtime. His entire morning was football, which that's all right. Can't be perfect, but yeah. So, in the news, the most spectacular thing in the news is this guy. Soto, he gets the Mets, won the bidding. He was a free agent, and he's not free. He's got the biggest contract in sports history. It's a 15-year contract, $765 million. You know what that means? That's $1 million a week for 15 years. You can do the math. And it's a 51-week year. We're taking 1 week off. So with 1 week non-paid vacation, he gets 51 weekly checks of $1 million a week for 15 years. Now, there's a lot more to the contract than that. And, but, that's, it's $51 million a year. You multiply $51 million by 15 years, you get $765 million. That's a tad more than $750 million for playing baseball. That's a pretty valuable fellow. How would you like to have the insurance policy on that guy if he would have happened to trip not playing baseball and he breaks his knee and he can't run around the bases anymore? What happens? The contracts up, have accommodations for these kinds of problems. So you don't want to fall down and break your knee when you're making $1 million a week for 15 years. $1 million a week? Really? I mean, I divided it out just for the hell of it. 15 years, I got 51 million. Well, how many weeks in a year? 52. This is 51. So he's making $1 million a week. And there's 1 week off for them to sweep up the dust. $1 million a week. Jesus. That's a serious amount. That's a serious salary. Now, maybe it's less than that, and he gets so many dollars for a home run, and all kinds of incentives here and there. So I don't know whether this is $765 million if he meets all his bonuses, or whether this is the minimum. And then on top of that, he gets bonus money if he does X, Y, or Z. That, the New York Post, the amazing Juan, the Mets signed Soto for $765 million. This is all I know about baseball. I know how to read headlines. I really, I've been to maybe 3 games in my life. I don't dislike it or anything. I just don't go. The Mets took it to the Yankees in the Grand Slam fashion last night by signing Juan Soto to the largest contract in sports history. As you can see, I did an expando on this front page story. A $765 million deal over 15 years, outbidding the Bronx Bombers for the prized free agent. There he is. And he is smiling Juan now. Woohoo! Yeah. He got a gold chain on with the number 22 on it. That's the number on his jersey. He's number 22. Yep. And in the meantime, Trump flies over to Paris to see the cathedral that just got a grand opening, so to speak, Sunday. Since the whole thing darn near burned down 5 years ago. Well, they vowed to build it back. Better, stronger, and with more fire safety. I mean, when that thing was ablaze, which they showed the newsreels, a couple of days ago, I mean, that was a tinder box. You could see all the planks of wood, the 2x4s, I mean, they kindled like it was not pressure treated, fireproof. There was no fireproofing, in that wood. A lot of this pressure treated wood that if you're going to build something out of wood, it won't burn. You can throw a blowtorch on it and it won't ignite. It's just pressure treated with these chemicals. Anyway, so Juan, I don't know when that contract starts, but he's a happy guy. Yep. The Mets are happy they got him, and he's happy to be had by somebody. Well, Assad, on Saturday, I guess it was, he dashed out of Syria. He and his family had a tight control over Syria for 30 years or so, and killed millions of people, holding them under arm and fist and gunfire. So he ran off with a bag of money, probably, and he's been granted asylum in Moscow, Russia. Yep. He arrived in Moscow on Sunday after the Syrian government collapsed. The rebels' victory early Sunday concluded a 10-day rout on the city of Damascus, I guess. And he and his close family members ran for the hills, got in a jet airplane, his private jet airplane, and they took off to Moscow. I don't know if it was a direct flight or they had to stop somewhere. I imagine it was pretty direct. And that plane is a solid plane. It's not the kind of plane that, it had 4 engines in the back, 2 on each side. 2 engines were on, a pylon, and you had 2 pylons, towards the rear of the plane. Let's see if I have a picture. Let's see. Let me just look here. I can't find it. Let me hit favorites, maybe I can see it that way better. Oh yeah, these are bigger pictures. Bigger renditions of the pictures. It's got to be right in this series. Come on, baby. There it is. So this is the plane. The transducer, they have a transducer in the plane that that sends every beep beep beep, twice a second. SYR 9218. That's the serial number of the transducer that's in the plane. And you see there's 2 jets on a pylon on either, mounted on the wings. So it's not like a 747 where you have the engines separately on their own pylon attached to the wing. You got 2 smaller engines that are on the same pylon, and then that's attached to the wing. That's that's the way the Russians build their planes. So this is probably a Russian plane. And you can barely see an engine over here on that side. But that's roughly what the plane looks like. And the serial number and the age are not available on this thing. But it took off from here and went off to Russia. If they were tracking the right plane. This is a rumor that the plane went missing. It's probably just it got trapped. They probably turned off the transducer and went radio silent for a little bit, so that no one with a surface to air missile, a shoulder mount, literally a shoulder mounted missile that you could fire from the ground, and it has a sighting system that's good for 30,000 feet. So they could just fire that thing from the ground and take you right out. So they probably went radio silent going through some of the mountains, flying low, just cut your signal off for a half hour and then cut it back on, once you get out of the Syrian airspace. But you got Lebanon, you got, they're crazies all over that area. Now with Assad collapsing, although that is a destabilizing event, Um, I have a newsreel. Anyway, this was Saturday night at midnight. This news came over the airways at like 12:10 a.m. Sunday morning, actually. Yeah, 12:11 a.m. yesterday. Midnight, basically. He disappeared. Yeah, that's what you got to do when you're a dictator and your government. There's a little ride down the streets of Syria. Yeah. That's chaos. And now they're pulling down the statue. That's, a 30-foot, that's a 3-story office building high statue. Here he goes. Boop. That's the end of Assad. Yep. Yeah, they'll all be ripping the hell out of that statue. That's what Sunday morning was like in Syria. So when that happens, it creates a vacuum of power in Syria. And you got 7 or 8 groups of people I don't have the visual of that. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's... There it is. You see this list? As of December 7th, these are the different forces. The Pro and the HTS LED and the Turkish, the SDF, the Syrian Defense Force, that's in green. And, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 factions in this one country. And they all have a leader. And, all this beige color was Assad. Well, he's gone. So now that's going to get hacked up, divided up, So that area is going to be a mess. You got major cities, Aleppo, Hama, and Damascus, and Homs. Those are the 4 major population centers. And they're all just like scrambled eggs in there now. Yeah. So, in Israel, you got, oh my God, Lebanon. The only player that's not really active is Egypt, which basically is the southern border to Israel. On the northern side, you got Lebanon and, my God, Iraq and, they're all primitive tribal, factions. And we took off and left $80 billion worth of our finest weaponry. I remember this, 70,000 armored vehicles. 70,000. Holy crap. How do you leave behind all that stuff? Fly it temporarily, with these big cargo planes. Fly it over to Turkey, warehouse it there. And then from there you can stage it, move it around different parts of the world. You don't have to home base it to the United States, for God's sakes. you can rent out huge warehouses in Turkey. It's right close. It's an hour flight. You just go back and forth and fill up the warehouses and the airfields with your 70,000 vehicles and tens of thousands of the best night goggle helmet things, night vision. Oh, Jesus. So they're selling it all over the region to raise money. Make us look like a bunch of idiots. I mean, that's just stupid criminal. But, what are you going to do? Yeah. Well, Sequela has changed hands. And so I took a picture of this menu. Here's the lunch menu of Sequela. Sequela Cafe by Biazzo. 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 That's how I would pronounce that. Panenoteca, whatever that means. This is their first menu. They just took it over this week. Max's Grill. The partnership finally all got together and sold Max's Grill. Now that is a prime piece of property. That lease. Ooh, here it is right there. Max's Grill. Right smack in the middle of Meisner, right in the middle of Meisner Park. When you drive up the main road, northeast, on the east side of that plaza, Max's Grill. You got two big structured parking garages, north and south of it. Like walking distance. Is buried within Meisner Park. You hardly see the four big parking garages. You don't have to pay for parking, on the street. You can just go in those garages and then come around and walk right up the walkway and get right in Max's. We're actually, it'd be for me it'd be a serious walk, but we could walk to Max's. If you were there and you got hammered, you could walk home. Or crawl home or something. But that's the front door of Max's right there. And that's taking the picture right there. Yeah, with the reflection. Yepper. It's a nice place, Seats a couple hundred. I'd say 250. I'm sure it goes with the liquor license, That was as for us, that was a go-to place when I was working in Hollywood. I'd get home and we'd pack up our, go right to Max's Grill, or we were there. Saturday and Sunday. Maybe it wasn't because I didn't used to leave the bank early. I was a late guy. So if the bank closed at 5, I may have stayed till 6:30 or 7. And sneak out the back door. Set the alarm. Anyway, that's sold. We got a message on, what do you call it, Facebook. Yesterday, after 33 years, My partners, a little typo in there, my partners and I sold our interest in Max's Grill. You know, I had a partner, there were like 5 or 6 partners. So all of them agreed to sell 100% interest in Max's Grill to somebody else or some other company or whatever. No news on who that is. I'll take this opportunity to thank those of you who worked there at some point, and thank you to those who patronized it. It should say it was muchly appreciated. So they're celebrating. They got a check. There were 5 partners in there, I think, or 5 blocks of, you know, it's divided up into 5 pieces. And I think Bert owned 2 of the 5 pieces. Yeah, because he took over. Dennis Max had a piece, and his wife cleaned his clock. So it was. So Dennis Max had 2 pieces, and I think the wife ended up with his piece. And Bert, I think, had 2 pieces, and then there was one other person that had another 1/5 of it. Now that's old news, you know, and I probably don't have that down exactly right, but it did have 5 pieces. And I know Dennis Max went through a divorce, and Patty Max ended up owning Dennis Max's interest in Max's Grill. It was named after him, and he didn't own any of it. His wife ended up owning it. I remember that part. Yeah, oh my God, she goes through there and redecorate it. You know, and all of a sudden you have these weird lamp shades hanging from the ceilings. Yeah, she was a free spirit. Yeah. I don't know what she knew about running a restaurant business. I think it was all Bert and Dennis. But Dennis couldn't keep his hands out of the cash register, so they had to get him out of the store. Basically, he was expelled from being in the store. So he'd walk off with 10,000, you know. Crazy. Yeah. And there's President-elect Trump. Returns to the world stage with Paris Power. Make America grip again. There's the power grip of the oddball handshake. There goes Mr. Prime Minister of Paris is outreaching his arm, you know, making it difficult for the president to shake his hand. A power grip thing, you know, that they develop with each other. Here's the small print. President-elect Trump gains the upper hand with French President Emmanuel Macron during a photo op in Paris ahead of the Notre Dame Cathedral's reopening celebration Saturday. During his first international trip since winning the U.S. election, Trump was seated in front and center between Macron, his wife, Bridget, while other global leaders tripped over themselves to glad hand the once and future American president. Today's reopening of the Notre Dame merely a supporting act for the reemergence of Donald Trump to the world. he's not just back, but the world's leaders are all realizing the same thing. Daddy's home. That's what. Yeah. Dad. Better clean up their rooms. Yep. No more free for all. The Biden administration was like the substitute teacher, where in the class everyone's throwing erasers and all that. I was a high school math teacher. I remember there was a teacher, his name was Mr. Anderson, and we were on the second floor of a school building, new school building, nice new facility, and big heavy duty doors and closing mechanisms. I guess you could lock them. The doors were unlocked, and the students had a door on each end of the classroom, one that opens to the back and the other one opens to the front. Well, there was a teacher that was about 3 rooms down on the other side of the hall. His name was Mr. Anderson. I forget the first name. And he couldn't keep control of his classroom. They were always throwing shit all over the place. He'd turn around and write something on a blackboard, and the kids, it would be a riot act behind him. And when the door opened, you can hear all the noise. Oh my God. My room is very much different. I had complete control over the classroom. We had a good time, worked hard and played hard. The way I did it is I had like a 4 or 5 minute monologue where I talked about whatever the heck happened news-wise. I'd have a monologue. I'd tell jokes. I'd get, the kids could bring up topics they want to talk about. It was so, it was structured, but it wasn't a free-for-all, but it was like my monologue portion of the class. And then after the 5 minutes, then I set my watch so it start buzzing in 5 minutes. And then it was time to, all right, it's time to get down to work. Yep. And we would open up whatever we were doing in math. And I made sure everybody got the joke in the math. Yep. I had very detailed lesson plans. I'd have worksheets, I had all the stuff to make sure they were paying attention. Everybody was engaged. No one was allowed to take a nap. And they had to pay attention, or else I'd spot them and I could weed them out. Sorry, Bob. So, in other news, where was I at? There we go. This lady right here. Alina Habba. I think she's like an Arab descent. So Alina Habba, is a lawyer, socialite, in the political circles. Yeah, the president just appointed her as counselor to the president. That's her official title. She has a business card, counselor to the president of the United States of America. So that lady is like, she comments on it. She would have the president's ear on pretty much an everyday basis, and wherever he went, she went. So if Air Force One was going somewhere, I'm sure she'd be on the plane somewhere. Because you'd probably want to keep her in close proximity, because something would come up. What about this and what about that? And she would have to know all the statutes, so that she would advise him on, how you can get in trouble as the president of the United States. You don't want to be in trouble, so you take advice from the counselor to the president. Yeah. A fierce defender of the rule of law. And Trump called her an invaluable advisor to my campaign and the transition team, while he announced her new role in the White House. So she is in the White House, close by. Yeah, she'd have one of these offices right in very close walking distance to the Oval Office. She has been unwavering in her loyalty and unmatched in her resolve. The president-elect continues, standing with me through numerous trials, battles, and countless days in court. Few understood the weaponization of the injustice system, as he calls it, better than Alina. She knew exactly what was going on. Who fought frequently against the full force of lawfare that was waged against him. Yep. The last piece is the New York case with Judge Machan. He should just dismiss it. Because if it ever comes to sentencing, it'll get turned over on appeal, according to legal experts, self not included. I'm strictly the carrier of the word. Don't profess to be capable of understanding all the nuances of that. But the talking heads say that there's all kinds of errors in that case that are reversible. So in the New York system, they have a Supreme Court in New York State, and it's a 3-judge panel, at least it was. Well, I had a case that was tried in New York State, and it went to the New York State Supreme Court. We won by summary judgment all the way up the line, and it went, to the Supreme Court, and we won that 3-0 with a 3-judge panel in the Supreme Court. Yeah. So I'm a little familiar with the New York Supreme Court. We had competent counsel, a lady. Yeah. There's Elena. Attractive looking lady. I didn't think she would accept these roles, because she's like a real socialite. I mean, she goes to all the tennis, the golf matches. She's there with the, champagne in the hand. You can see her with all the ladies, I mean, she's a real social. Goes to the tennis events. She goes to golf events. How the hell is she going to be doing that if she's going to be strapped to the White House now for 4 years? I guess she was just a socialite for the 4 years he was not president, because she was active with him in the first presidency. It may not be counselor to the president in the first term. I don't know what she was. Maybe just an attorney that he hired to handle certain high-level things. Yeah. So we're looking. We went to Reno's restaurant, and they had these neat lights. One of these lights is in the middle of our table for 4, and it lit up the whole restaurant table. You know, every table had one of these lights. So we have a dining room area that's a little dark. So we're going to get a few of these for our dining room table, and that would light it up. You know, maybe turn on 2 of them just for decoration, and then turn on all 4 of them if you're actually having dinner or something. But they're rechargeable. They're waterproof. This one stands 14 inches tall. There it is. Touch button. There's the underside of that hat. It has 3 different Kelvin settings. Yeah. All right. I think we're done for the day. Maybe I'll catch you tomorrow.